Story 1. I'm an assistant manager at Trendy Threads, a mid-sized clothing store in a busy shopping center. I've been there since college, working my way up from sales associate to my current position. The job has its challenges, but I genuinely enjoy helping customers find what they're looking for and working with my team to keep the store running smoothly. The incident happened on a Tuesday evening in late October. Tuesdays are usually pretty quiet, so we only had 3 people scheduled to close: myself, Sarah from sales, and Marcus from inventory. Our store officially closes at 9 o'clock, and we typically have everyone out by 9:15 so we can finish our closing procedures and lock up by 9:30. Around 8:45, I started making our standard closing announcements over the intercom system. We always give customers a 15-minute warning, then announcements at 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and finally at closing time. It's a routine that works well and gives people plenty of time to make their final decisions. Most of our customers that evening were wrapping up their shopping and heading to the registers. A few people were still browsing, but they seemed to be finishing up. That's when I noticed a woman in the women's section who appeared to be completely ignoring the closing announcements. She was probably in her 40s, well-dressed, and had been in the store for at least an hour. I'd seen her earlier moving between different sections, picking up items, then putting them back down. She seemed to be taking her time, which was fine during regular hours, but we were approaching closing time. At 9 o'clock sharp, I made the final announcement. Attention shoppers, Trendy Threads is now closed. Please bring your final selections to the register at this time. Thank you for shopping with us today. Most customers headed toward the exit, but the woman in the women's section didn't move. She continued browsing through the racks as if she hadn't heard anything. I walked over to her with a polite smile. Excuse me, ma'am, but we're closed now. If you'd like to purchase anything, I can help you at the register. Karen, I'm still shopping. I'll be done when I'm done. I understand, but our store is closed. We need to complete our closing procedures and lock up for the night. Karen, I'm a customer and I have the right to shop. You can't kick me out while I'm still deciding what to buy. I'm sorry, but store hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. We're closed now, so I'll need you to either make your purchases or exit the store. Karen, this is ridiculous. Customer service is terrible these days. I'm going to keep shopping until I find what I want. She grabbed an armful of clothes and marched toward the dressing rooms. I followed her, trying to remain professional despite my growing frustration. Ma'am, the dressing rooms are closed. I really need you to leave the store now. Karen, I'm trying on these clothes whether you like it or not. I'm a paying customer. Before I could stop her, she ducked into one of the dressing rooms and slammed the door shut. I could hear her moving around inside, rustling through the clothes. Ma'am, please come out. The store is closed, and you need to leave immediately. Karen, I'm not coming out until I'm finished shopping. You can't make me leave. I knocked on the dressing room door several times, but she refused to respond. Sarah and Marcus came over to see what was happening. Sarah, is she seriously hiding in there? Apparently. I've asked her multiple times to leave, but she's refusing. Marcus, what do we do now? I had dealt with difficult customers before, but never someone who literally refused to leave after closing time. I decided to follow our store's protocol for situations like this. Ma'am, I'm going to give you one more chance to come out and leave the store voluntarily. If you don't, I'll have to call security and the police. Karen, you wouldn't dare. I'm just shopping. The store is closed. You're now trespassing on private property. Still no response. I called our security office and explained the situation. They said they'd send someone over immediately and recommended that I also call the police since the woman was technically trespassing. While we waited, I positioned myself outside the dressing room to make sure she didn't try to leave with merchandise. Sarah and Marcus finished most of the closing procedures, but we obviously couldn't lock up with someone still inside. 20 minutes later, security arrived along with 2 police officers. I explained the situation to them, and they approached the dressing room door. "Officer, ma'am, this is the police. The store is closed, and you need to come out immediately." "Karen, I'm not done shopping. This is harassment." "Officer, you're on private property after business hours. That's trespassing. Come out now, or we'll have to remove you." Finally, after about 10 more minutes of back and forth, she slowly opened the dressing room door. What I saw next was both shocking and hilarious. She had apparently tried on several items and was now wearing a pair of our pajamas with the tags still attached. She looked absolutely ridiculous, designer pajamas in a store setting, with her hair disheveled from changing clothes multiple times. "Officer, ma'am, you need to change back into your own clothes and leave the premises immediately." "Karen, these pajamas are really comfortable. I think I'll buy them." "Officer, the store is closed. You can come back tomorrow during business hours if you want to make a purchase." "Karen, but I'm already wearing them. It's more convenient to just buy them now." "Me, you need to change back into your own clothes and leave. The register system is already shut down for the night." The officers escorted her back into the dressing room to change, then walked her out of the store. She was visibly embarrassed, especially when she realized that other shoppers from nearby stores had gathered to watch the commotion. "Karen, this is humiliating. I'm never shopping here again." "Officer, you're being issued a trespassing warning. If you return and cause problems, you'll be arrested." The next day, my manager informed me that she'd received a complaint call from the woman, demanding that I be fired for poor customer service. My manager just laughed and said I'd handled the situation perfectly. But the best part came a week later. Our loss prevention team had taken photos of the woman during the incident as part of their standard procedure. These photos were shared with other stores in the shopping center as part of their shoplifter watchlist program. A few days later, Sarah came up to me grinning. "Sarah, you're not going to believe this. I just saw that woman from last week at the department store next door. She tried to go in, but security stopped her at the door. Apparently, her photo is posted at the entrance as someone to watch for suspicious behavior." "Me, really?" "Sarah, the security guard told her she wasn't welcome in the store after her behavior at other locations in the center. She looked mortified." I couldn't help but smile. Her refusal to respect basic store hours and her decision to hide in our dressing room had resulted in her being flagged by security across the entire shopping center. The incident became a legendary story among our staff, and we still laugh about the woman who got escorted out in pajamas. It serves as a perfect reminder that actions have consequences, and that customer entitlement has its limits. Sometimes the best way to handle unreasonable behavior is to simply follow the rules and let natural consequences take their course. Story 2. I've been working as a server at Tony's Italian restaurant for about 18 months now. It's a family-owned place that's been around for 30 years, and they're known for their authentic recipes and commitment to quality. The owner, Tony, is a second-generation Italian-American who learned everything from his father and takes food safety seriously. I started working here right after high school to save money for community college. My parents couldn't afford to help much with tuition, so I needed a job that would give me flexible hours and decent tips. Tony's has been perfect for that. The regular customers are mostly locals who appreciate good food, and the staff feels like family. The restaurant has a solid reputation in our small town. We get busy during weekends and holidays, but it's usually manageable. Tony runs the kitchen himself most nights, and he's passionate about doing things the right way. He's also very particular about food safety, which is why what happened last Saturday was so shocking. It was around 7:30 on a busy Saturday evening when Karen walked in. She was alone, which was unusual for a Saturday night, and she seemed impatient from the moment she sat down. She was well-dressed and had that entitled air that some customers get when they think they're doing you a favor by eating at your restaurant. I approached her table with my usual friendly greeting. "Me, good evening. Welcome to Tony's. Can I start you off with something to drink?" "Karen, I'll have a glass of your house red wine, and I already know what I want to eat, so let's just get this over with. Me, of course. What can I get for you tonight? Karen, I want the chicken parmesan, but I want the chicken cooked medium rare, and don't overcook it like most places do. I paused for a moment, thinking I might have misheard her. Me, I'm sorry, did you say medium rare chicken? Karen, yes, medium rare. I like my meat with some pink in it, not dried out. Me, ma'am, I'm afraid we can't serve chicken medium rare. It's not safe to eat chicken that isn't fully cooked. Karen, that's ridiculous. I eat medium rare chicken all the time. Just tell the chef what I want. Me, I understand, but our chef won't cook chicken that way because it can cause food poisoning. I'd be happy to have him prepare it perfectly cooked, but still juicy. Karen, I don't want it perfectly cooked. I want it medium rare. If your chef doesn't know how to cook chicken properly, maybe I should speak to the manager. I could see this was going to be a problem, so I decided to get Tony involved right away. Me, let me get the owner for you. He can explain our food safety policies. I went back to the kitchen where Tony was working the grill. Me, Tony, I have a customer who wants her chicken parmesan cooked medium rare. I tried to explain why we can't do that, but she's insisting. Tony, medium rare chicken. Is she serious? Me, dead serious. She wants to talk to you about it. Tony wiped his hands on his apron and came out to the dining room. I could see other customers starting to notice the commotion. Tony, good evening, ma'am. I understand you have a question about how we prepare our chicken. Karen, finally, someone in charge. Your server seems to think I can't order my chicken the way I want it. Tony, well, you can certainly order it however you'd like, but I can't serve you chicken that isn't fully cooked. It's dangerous and against health regulations. Karen, that's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Medium rare chicken is a delicacy. Maybe you should learn how to cook before you open a restaurant. Tony, ma'am, I've been cooking for over 20 years. Chicken needs to reach an internal temperature of 165 degrees to be safe to eat. Medium rare chicken would be about 130 degrees, which could give you salmonella. Karen, I don't care about your temperatures. I know what I like, and I want my chicken medium rare. If you can't do that, you're incompetent. At this point, her voice was getting louder, and other diners were starting to stare. That's when a man at a nearby table stood up and walked over. Health inspector, excuse me, but I couldn't help overhearing this conversation. Ma'am, I'm a health inspector for the county, and I need to tell you that what you're asking for is extremely dangerous. Karen, oh, great. Another so-called expert. Health inspector, actually, I am an expert. It's literally my job to know food safety regulations. Chicken must be cooked to 165 degrees internal temperature to kill harmful bacteria like Salmonella and Campylobacter. Karen, I don't believe any of this. I've eaten medium rare chicken plenty of times. Health inspector, then you've been very lucky not to get sick. What you're demanding could land you in the hospital or worse. Karen, this is all made up. You're probably friends with the owner. Health inspector, ma'am, I'm here having dinner with my wife. I don't know these people personally, but I know they're absolutely right to refuse your request. The health inspector turned to Tony. Health inspector, you're handling this correctly. Never compromise on food safety, no matter how demanding a customer gets. Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm never eating here again. Health inspector, that's probably for the best. And I hope you don't try to order dangerous food at other restaurants either. Karen, I want to speak to corporate. Tony, ma'am, this is a family-owned restaurant. I am corporate, and I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Karen, you can't kick me out. I'm a paying customer. Tony, actually, you haven't paid for anything because you haven't ordered anything we can legally serve you. Please leave. Karen stood up, grabbed her purse, and headed for the door, but not before turning back to shout at the entire restaurant. Karen, this place is a joke. The chef doesn't know how to cook, and the service is terrible." As she stormed out, the health inspector called after her. "Health inspector, ma'am, the only joke here is someone who thinks they know food safety better than trained professionals." The entire restaurant erupted in applause. Several customers started laughing, and I could see people already pulling out their phones to text or post about what they just witnessed. "Tony, thank you for backing us up. I've never had anyone demand medium rare chicken before." "Health inspector, you handled that perfectly. Some people just don't understand that food safety isn't negotiable." Within an hour, the story was all over social media. Someone had recorded Karen's outburst and posted it online with the caption, "Karen demands medium rare chicken and calls chef ignorant." The video went viral locally, and by the next morning, it had thousands of views and comments mocking her food safety ignorance. The incident actually brought us more business. People started coming in specifically because they'd heard about how we stood up to an unreasonable customer and maintained our standards. Tony framed a copy of our health inspection certificate and put it by the register with a sign that read, "We take food safety seriously." Karen never came back, but the story became legendary in our small town. It was a perfect example of how entitled behavior can backfire spectacularly when you're completely wrong about something important. Story 3. I've been working as a personal trainer at a small community gym for about 3 years now. It's a family-friendly place where people of all ages come to work out together. The owner has always encouraged parents to bring their kids, especially during after-school hours when many working parents need to squeeze in their exercise routine. I usually work the afternoon shift from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m., which is when we see our busiest crowd. Parents picking up their kids from school often stop by with them, and we have a small area with some basic equipment where older kids can safely work out under supervision. Last Tuesday around 4 p.m., I was helping a regular client with her deadlift form when I noticed a new member I hadn't seen before. She was a woman in her 40s, wearing expensive workout gear, and had that look of someone who took herself very seriously. She'd been coming in around the same time for about a week, always working out alone and keeping to herself. That particular afternoon, there were 3 kids in the gym with their parents. 2 were teenage boys who came in regularly with their dad, and there was also a 12-year-old girl who was there with her mom. The kids were all well-behaved and stayed in their designated area, using the lighter weights and doing basic exercises. I was spotting my client when I heard raised voices from across the gym. The new woman was standing near the kids' area, looking visibly agitated. "Karen, excuse me, but this is ridiculous. I pay good money for my membership, and I shouldn't have to deal with children running around while I'm trying to work out." The father of the 2 boys looked confused. "Dad, I'm sorry, is there a problem? My sons are just doing some light exercises. They're not bothering anyone." "Karen, they're bothering me. This is supposed to be a gym, not a daycare center." "Me, is everything okay over here?" "Karen, no, everything is not okay. These kids are being disruptive and distracting. I come here at the same time every day, and I shouldn't have to put up with this chaos." I looked around. The kids were quietly doing their exercises, not making any noise or causing any disturbance. The 12-year-old girl was doing bicep curls with 5-pound weights, completely focused on her form. "Me, ma'am, the kids are being very respectful. They're staying in their designated area and not interfering with anyone else's workout." "Karen, I don't care. They don't belong here. This is my time slot, and I want them gone." "Dad, your time slot? This is a public gym. Everyone has the right to be here during operating hours." "Karen, not everyone. Certainly not these distracting little rats." The moment she said that, the atmosphere in the gym completely changed. Several people stopped their workouts to stare at her. The 12-year-old girl looked hurt and confused. "Me, ma'am, that language is completely inappropriate. These children are welcome here and are behaving perfectly." "Karen, I don't care what you think. I'm a paying member, and I have rights. These kids are ruining my workout experience." She turned to the 12-year-old girl directly. "Karen, you especially. You're way too young to be here. Why don't you go back to TikTok where you belong?" The girl's eyes filled with tears. Her mother, who had been doing squats nearby, immediately came over. "Mom, excuse me. What did you just say to my daughter?" "Karen, I told her to go back to TikTok. Kids her age have no business in a real gym." "Mom, she's 12 years old and learning about fitness and health. She has every right to be here." "Karen, no, she doesn't. This is supposed to be an adult space during these hours." "Mom, says who?" "Karen, says common sense. I've been coming here every day at 4 p.m. for a week now, and this is my time. I shouldn't have to share it with a bunch of kids." The mom looked at her daughter, who was still upset, then back at Karen. "Mom, a week? You think coming here for a week gives you ownership over a time slot?" "Karen, I'm a serious fitness enthusiast. I need a professional environment, not some playground." "Mom, professional environment. You just called children rats and told my daughter to go back to TikTok." "Karen, because it's true. Kids this age are obsessed with social media and have no business doing serious exercise." By this point, the entire gym had stopped what they were doing to watch this confrontation. I could see other members shaking their heads in disgust. "Ma'am, I need to ask you to apologize to these children and their parents." "Karen, I'm not apologizing for anything. If anything, they should apologize to me for ruining my workout." "Mom, you know what? I think we need to settle this with management." "Karen, fine by me. When the manager hears how these kids have been disrupting the gym, they'll establish proper rules about who can be here when." "Mom, I'm sure they will." The mom walked over to the front desk and picked up the phone. She dialed a number and waited. "Mom, hi, this is the owner. I need you to come down to the gym floor immediately. We have a situation." Karen's face went pale. "Karen, the owner?" "Mom, yes, I'm the owner, and you just called my daughter a rat and told her to go back to TikTok." "Karen, I didn't know." "Mom, you didn't know what? That children are allowed in my gym? That my own daughter works out here? Or that insulting customers' children might have consequences?" "Karen, I was just trying to maintain standards." "Mom, standards? You verbally abused a 12-year-old girl and called children rats. Those aren't standards, that's just cruelty." The gym was completely silent now. Everyone was watching as Karen realized the magnitude of her mistake. "Karen, look, I'm sorry if I was out of line, but I really do think there should be adult-only hours." "Mom, there are adult-only hours. Early morning and late evening. The afternoon is specifically designated as family time." "Karen, I didn't know that." "Mom, maybe you should have asked instead of assuming you could dictate who belongs here." "Karen, can we just forget this happened? I'll try to be more tolerant." "Mom, no, we can't forget it happened. You made my daughter cry and called her a rat. Your membership is terminated immediately." "Karen, you can't do that. I paid for a full-year membership." "Mom, I absolutely can do that. You violated our code of conduct, which clearly states that harassment of other members, especially children, is grounds for immediate termination." "Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm going to report this to the Better Business Bureau." "Mom, feel free. I'm sure they'll be very interested in hearing about how you verbally abused a child." "Karen, it wasn't abuse. I was just trying to create a better environment." "Mom, by calling children rats? That's your idea of improvement?" Security cameras had captured everything, and within minutes, Karen was escorted out of the building. Her membership was officially revoked, and she was banned from the property. After she left, the mom hugged her daughter and apologized for what had happened. "Mom, I'm so sorry you had to hear that, sweetheart. Some adults forget how to behave properly." "Daughter, it's okay, Mom. I know I belong here." The other members came over to show their support, and the rest of the evening was peaceful. Karen never returned, but word of her behavior spread quickly through the community. Her attempt to claim ownership over a public gym had backfired spectacularly, costing her both her membership and her reputation. Story 4. I've been working as a school nurse for about 4 years now, ever since I finished my nursing degree and got certified in pediatric care. I started this job because I wanted to help kids, and honestly, it's been one of the most rewarding careers I could have chosen. Sure, the pay isn't amazing compared to hospital work, but seeing kids get better and knowing I'm making a difference in their lives makes it worth it. I work at an elementary school with about 600 students. My daily routine involves everything from treating scraped knees to managing chronic conditions like asthma and diabetes. I also help coordinate with parents and doctors when kids need ongoing medical care during school hours. One thing I deal with regularly is parents who want me to diagnose their children with various conditions. I always have to explain that as a school nurse, I can observe and document behaviors, but I cannot diagnose medical conditions. That's what doctors are for. Most parents understand this, but some get frustrated. That's where this particular situation started. This woman's 8-year-old son had been coming to my office almost daily for the past month. He'd complain of stomach aches, headaches, or just say he felt weird. Every time I'd check him over, take his temperature, and ask basic questions, but I never found anything physically wrong. The kid seemed fine physically, but he did appear anxious and fidgety. I documented everything and suggested to his teacher that maybe we should schedule a parent conference to discuss some strategies for helping him focus in class. That's when his mom showed up at my office, unannounced and clearly agitated. "Karen, I need to talk to you about my son. He's been coming here every day because he's suffering." "Me, I understand your concern. I've been documenting his visits, and I think it would be helpful to discuss some strategies with his teacher, and maybe consult with your family doctor." "Karen, I don't need strategies. I need you to diagnose him with ADHD so he can get the medication he needs." "Me, I'm sorry, but I can't diagnose ADHD. That requires evaluation by a licensed physician or psychologist who specializes in developmental disorders." "Karen, that's ridiculous. You're a nurse. You see him every day. You know he has ADHD. Me, I can observe behaviors and document them, but making a medical diagnosis is outside my scope of practice. I'd be happy to provide documentation to support a doctor's evaluation." "Karen, this is exactly the problem with the education system. You people don't believe in science. Me, I absolutely believe in science. That's why I'm telling you that proper diagnosis requires specialized testing that I'm not qualified to perform." "Karen, my son is suffering every day because you won't do your job. I've done my own research, and he clearly has ADHD. Me, I understand you're worried about your son. Have you made an appointment with your pediatrician to discuss your concerns?" "Karen, I don't need a doctor. I need you to give him his medication." "Me, I cannot prescribe medication. Only licensed physicians can prescribe ADHD medications." "Karen, then write him a note saying he needs it. I'll get the pills myself." This is where the conversation took a very concerning turn. "Me, ma'am, I cannot and will not write any kind of note requesting medication without a proper diagnosis from a doctor." "Karen, fine. I'll just give him my sister's ADHD pills. They're the same thing." "Me, you absolutely cannot give your child someone else's prescription medication. That's dangerous and illegal." "Karen, it's the same medication. How is that different?" "Me, prescription medications are dosed specifically for each individual. Giving your child someone else's medication could seriously harm him." "Karen, you're being dramatic. I know what's best for my son." "Me, I'm going to have to ask you to leave and make an appointment with your child's doctor if you're concerned about ADHD." "Karen, I'm not leaving until you do your job. Write the note." "Me, I cannot do that. If you continue to insist on medicating your child without proper medical supervision, I'll have to report this conversation." "Karen, Report it to who? You work for me. I pay your salary through my taxes. Me, I work for the school district, and my primary responsibility is student safety. Threatening to give a child unprescribed medication is a serious safety concern. Karen, you're threatening me now. This is harassment. Me, I'm not threatening you. I'm explaining that I'm legally required to report any situation where a child's safety might be at risk. Karen, my sister's pills are perfectly safe. They're from a real doctor. Me, they're from a real doctor, but they're not prescribed for your son. Please leave my office. Karen, I'm calling the principal. I'm calling the school board. You're going to lose your job. Me, you're welcome to contact whoever you'd like. I'm documenting this entire conversation. After she stormed out, I immediately called my supervisor and documented everything. The principal was concerned about her threat to give the child someone else's medication, and we agreed that I needed to file a report with Child Protective Services. The CPS worker I spoke with was very interested in the conversation, especially the part about giving the child unprescribed medication. She said they'd follow up with the family within 48 hours. 2 days later, I got a call from the principal. Apparently, Karen had indeed called the school board to complain about me. But when they reviewed my documentation and the CPS report, they fully supported my actions. The CPS investigation found that Karen had been giving her son various over-the-counter medications and supplements without consulting a doctor. They required her to take a parenting class and have all of her son's medical care supervised by a pediatrician. The boy's behavior in school actually improved significantly once his mother stopped giving him random medications. His teacher reported that he seemed much calmer and more focused. Karen tried to get me fired by writing letters to the school board, but my supervisor and the principal backed me up completely. They said I'd handled the situation exactly as I should have. The whole experience reminded me why proper medical protocols exist. Parents want to help their kids, but sometimes their good intentions can actually cause harm. That's why we have trained professionals and proper procedures for diagnosing and treating medical conditions.